Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course from New Earth One Network. This is designed exclusively for your higher self connection and embodiment. Welcome to this Mastery Empowerment course. This is with Meir Schneider, who has developed a beautiful healing technique for eyesight based on his own experience. The Meir Schneider self-healing method combines breathing, unique body movement, and visualization techniques. We're going to learn all about it in this introduction to a larger 2-day online course. Hi, Meir. Thank you so much for being with us.
Well, Lauren, first of all, I love the background that you're in. It reminds me of my walks in the park. Second of all, thank you for your energy. And third, I'm very grateful to be on your forum.
We are very grateful to have you. You have been recommended as someone with expertise and your own life, what you dealt with as a child. You were born with congenital cataracts and your parents were deaf, and you went through unsuccessful surgeries that left you with scar tissue. And now here you are today sharing with us, looking at us, and you've healed that. So that's amazing because your experience is out there in the world and you were recommended to us by people seeking this knowledge of how we can correct our eyesight. So as we start, can you share with us more on your personal journey that could not have been easy? And oh my goodness, you are to be commended for this beautiful method that you've developed.
So, also my kids were born with cataracts, which is interesting. So I was born with cataracts. My kids were born with cataracts. And my surgeries, their surgeries were successful. Mine were not. This is a normal lens. You see it? This is mine after 5 cataract surgeries. See this? Look at the difference between them. Normal lens, my lens. Okay. So what happened is that I had 5 cataract surgeries in the wrong time. What was discovered is the time to do the surgeries is at the age of 2 weeks. And the age of 8 weeks, the human brain wants to start to see, which most people had no idea about that phenomena in my generation. But doctors about 15 years before my kids were born started to understand that at the age of 8 weeks, the brain wants to see. If you don't see then, it eliminates the whole idea of seeing. So doctors were trying to fix it by removing the parts that have cataracts. But then what happened is every part that they removed caused tremendous scar tissue, basically. And I have only 0.75% through which I can see. But worse than that, it was discovered that if at the age of 8 weeks, the cataract wasn't removed, the brain writes off the whole idea of seeing. And in fact, one of my most beloved clients is a 7-year-old whom I'm working with from the time that she was 2.5. The problem was that she was operated at the age of 11 weeks because she wasn't properly diagnosed with cataract before that. And they were living in a beautiful village not far from Austria in Germany. I'm going to come to her right now to Germany to work on her individually. And I'm going to give a lecture in her town and work with many other people. But she's my favorite because she reminds me of the work I did with my own daughter, who was born with cataracts. Now, almost everybody who was born with cataract, if the surgery was done on time, ended up seeing 30-35% of normal vision. My kids see 100%. And that's a result of combining doing the surgery on time and working with me. So my method started with my pain, basically. I was considered to be a very good kid because I was known to be the son of Ida and Abraham in the deaf community in Israel, especially in Tel Aviv. And whenever I would go somewhere, I'd bring a Braille book with me. So my mother could talk to all of her friends. They were doing sewing together. And I would sit down and read my Braille book. Didn't disturb anyone. They liked it that way. But I, at a certain point, felt that I have to get out of my handicap. And so I started to do eye exercises. And I've learned the principles of eye exercises. And I also did not accept my faith as a blind person. And by the way, these days I read, write, and drive. Now my vision is not normal. It's barely 70% of normal vision, a little bit less. But it used to be 1%, and 4% was correction. And now there is no correction. And it's so much better than it was with correction. So I've worked on my vision improvement, and I've written several books, including Vision for Life. And that comes to guard your vision for life. And in a way, you can say that anyone who will participate in our seminar is coming to preserve their vision for the rest of their life. You know, we have dental hygiene, but we don't have vision hygiene. And there are quite a few things that we can do to improve our vision. Number one, we have to learn to look with a soft look anywhere we do. Many people freeze their look and tense their eyes quite a bit. Number two, we have to learn to relax the eyes quite a bit. Number three, we have to learn to adapt to all light frequencies. Number four, we have to learn to look at the distance. Number five, we have to learn to look at details. And number six, we have to pay attention to our periphery. And then we have to work on the balanced use of the eyes, and we have to work on getting more blood flow to the visual system. So what I will teach people with simple exercises is the complexity and the flexibility of the visual system. They will learn how to see better. But the visual system cannot get better without enough blood flow to the head, which means your neck must be loose. For that, your whole body must be strong and loose. So those are the things that we're going to learn. Although I must tell you, I didn't only work on vision. I worked with many people with back problems. I worked with many people with joint disease. And I worked with many people with paralysis, from multiple sclerosis to muscular dystrophy, which are very different forms of paralysis. But I've been doing a lot of work with quite a few people on many different aspects. What I can help people in the workshop is to start with a very nice direction of exercises. We can do program, but program has to change from time to time. You shouldn't do the same exercises all the time. So sometimes you emphasize relaxation. Sometimes you emphasize adaptation to light frequencies. Sometimes you emphasize expanding your periphery. Sometimes you emphasize creating more space between your vertebrae. And as I celebrated my 68th birthday, still bouncing on a trampoline, still walking for 50 blocks at a time, things of that nature. I kind of feel that everything that I've done from the time that I discovered that vision can improve have helped me to get to a good place today. And I want people to have very good vision until their late 90s or early 100s. Let's put it this way. That's a possibility.
That is amazing that you have identified all those areas of work. And this is vision health, like dental health, and it makes perfect sense. So this is
And the
for,
big set thing, it doesn't exist in medicine.
it doesn't,
That's the set thing. No,
it's,
it doesn't exist in medicine. Do you remember how yoga was stupidity? Do you remember how yoga was for weirdos? And right now, I think like 25 million Americans do yoga. It's a regular thing, you know? Do you remember how fitness was a stupid thing to do? It doesn't help anything. And right now, fitness appears to be the good thing. Well, the next step is to go beyond that. And this is kinesthetic awareness, that you become more aware of your body and you give the body the thoughts that it needs, the movement it needs, because I really think that function affects structure. And so I could not change the fact that I have scar tissues, but the bits and pieces of my lenses could be dormant or working. And I worked enough to make them working. So function affects structure and thoughts affect function. And we're going to work on a lot of exercises that will help you change your life completely, will lead to real transformation. And repetition of those exercises would lead to permanent transformation.
let's go into each of these because you said some things that are very important. First of all, you said you did not accept your fate. You did not accept your fate. And that goes
Let me
into,
give you an example. When I was almost completely blind, I used to ride a bicycle, fall in ditches, roll down stairs, hit trees, and hit people. I used to play in unfinished building against the devastation of my teachers and parents, fall from a second floor. I remember that practically every week I would fall and my head would hit the ground or some cement, and always they would put something cold over my forehead. Until now, I have very strong head, you know, thanks to those times. But it's interesting that when I started to see, the same thing happened to me. All of a sudden, I got used to being blind and feel my way and not anymore fall and have all those accidents. Then when I started to work with my eyes, I didn't see as much. I mean, I didn't feel as much. And I would fall again and hit my head would go against poles in the, we moved from a town we were in to the city of Tel Aviv, and my head would hit against stands, you know, against poles, and then slowly I adjusted to see. But I didn't adjust completely until these days. I still dial the phone, not looking at it. But I've learned that I still get accidents if I don't look at what I'm doing. I fell in a mountain. I fell from my bicycle. So all kinds of things happen. But I've learned to see and feel and integrate between them to a great extent. So it's very interesting, the process I went through. But I refused to accept my handicap. And I got into a lot of fights over that with teachers. But there it was. I worked on myself. And I remember that when I improved and I was able to see the sores in my face as I was growing up. How do you call those sores in English? I forgot. The
pimples.
Pimples. I started
Yeah.
to see my pimples. I knew my vision starts to develop. And that was a big deal. Like, you know, there was a guy who came to me who had cataract surgeries. He was in his 70s, cataract surgeries. And he was so happy, so better than he saw in 20 years. But then 2 months later, he didn't see anything. So when he came to me, because he had glaucoma attack, which is typical in some cases. So he came to me, we worked, and he was able to finally see his face before shaving, which was new for him, which was good. So that was a big deal. So what I'm saying is deprivation of what we can do or see is very important. Also, people deprive us of what we can do. I mean, many people take licenses away from their parents before the parents should really be off the road. You know, many kids are being patronized, big deal, by their parents when they really should not be patronized. So basically, people don't believe in us as much as we should believe in ourselves. And I want to return to the participants in the workshop. You have an opportunity to have a sense of how your breath affects every part of your body. You have an opportunity to improve your circulation. Without good circulation, we get most of our illnesses, and especially illnesses of the eyes. You know, basically 85% of all blindness comes because of different different circulatory problems, and more circulation can affect all kinds of things. The best example, of course, is neovascularization in the retina or wet macular degeneration. But there are other examples, much more common. I really think that glaucoma, to a great extent, is a result of poor blood flow to the optic nerve that leads to its demise, and poor blood flow to the eyes that eventually, with some complications, leads to high pressure. So in my opinion, we can do so much in our body with simple movement and exercise and deep consciousness that can make a very big difference for us.
It is amazing that you're changing so many lives, really assisting in lives with this work that you're doing. It is leading edge, it's pioneering, and again, I just commend you for it. Let's talk more. So the breath, I know your workshop goes deep into this, but the breath, what is important? What's a proper way to breathe?
First of all, slowly. Very important to breathe slowly. Many people breathe 20 times a minute. We can breathe down to 5 times per minute if we breathe really, really slowly. That leads to more time and more full exchange of oxygen and carbon dioxide. So slow breathing is also a breathing of relaxation. I paid attention that anxiety comes with poor breathing. Often when somebody has stuffed nose and hard for them to breathe, that's a form of anxiety. And it comes with that to tremendous tension that people have in the neck and the back that leads to poor breathing. Now, breathing and circulation work very much together. But one thing that we should all know is that we should breathe normally to places we're not used to be breathing. So I'll give you a real good example of that. And that is that I breathe to my abdomen. But then when I bend down, I breathe to my lower back. And I think it's very important for me to be aware of the existence of my lower back as I breathe. I have to be aware of my ribs. So often bending sideways and tapping on my ribs is a great thing. And when I do that, I allow more space here to expand. Okay. So that's one thing that I am teaching. I love bunker balls. Bree, can you get me a bunker ball, please? Yeah. So I like bunker balls because they're good massage balls for us. And when we tap here, we become aware of an area we normally are not aware of. When we breathe to the chest, it should be deep chest breathing. When we breathe to the diaphragm, it should be deep diaphragmatic breathing. And one of the ways to do it is actually to look at the ceiling. And when you do that, there's a tendency to breathe more. Exactly, I'm happy you're doing that. And so the important thing is the fact that the body can feel lighter as we breathe deeper. And that also means the circulation gets way better. So that's a very important thing. So again, let me explain. We'll have many other breathing exercises as well. But to begin with, to breathe slowly and feel that every part of the body expands as we inhale and shrinks when we exhale is a very important thing for us. Thank you so much. So again, I like it this way because the good thing about finger bowl, many people cannot reach between their shoulders, right? I can, but not everybody can do something like this, right? But basically, when you tap here, you feel this area. Now, when you bend and tap here, you start to feel the lower back as you breathe, as you wait sometimes to do it. Now, you can also, of course, tap with your fist, but this is very easy to do with the finger bowl. And being able to breathe and to expand is a good thing. So let me tell you something, Lorraine, that I'm doing a lot of, and this is, I work with many people who had a lot of surgeries and many people who have a lot of paralysis. And I'm learning that many of them cannot lie on the stomach. Now, most of us can, but many of them cannot lie on the stomach. And when I get them to lie on the stomach, they have another breathing posture. So for them, we can all understand that when they lie on the stomach, there's that pressure to breathe into the abdomen and breathe into the chest in a whole new way. But the truth of the matter is that we all deprive ourselves from many, many different ways of breathing. You know, I love to sit on the ball that I'm sitting now and talking to you with, but, you know, I also love to lie on this ball. You know, and when I lie, I give myself a wonderful breathing possibility where I'm really stretching my back, stretching my chest in a way that is allowing me to have much deeper breathing. And of course, as we go slow with that and slowly learn about different places that we can breathe, the chest, the diaphragm, the abdomen, the waist, the ribs, the back, then we start to breathe deeper and we allow the blood to flow better. And it's so important because once the blood flows better, basically most of our illnesses are either being modified or being cured. Modification is important. I don't think anyone dies from an illness. They're dying from the stress of the body related to that illness. So it is the stress of the body which is really the problem. And the more we reduce the stress of the body, the better it is.
Beautiful. The breath is so important. You have just illustrated why it's so important. And I really believe that everyone watching and listening has actually taken deeper breaths as we were listening, and we get that. And so we understand. And you know, when we do take a couple of deep breaths, we can feel the difference right away. We can feel that difference. So it's very important for relaxation and the blood flow that you talked about. You've also,
one of the things that helps our breathing
yeah,
is relaxing the eyes. And one of the best exercises for relaxation
yeah,
is called palming. And so I have a palming stick, which gives me the advantage of adjusting it to any size that I want. And I'm putting my hands over the eye orbits. And if you give me the whole day, I would just sit down and do that. And I relax my eyes. And when I relax my eyes, it's easier to breathe and it's easier to feel. And this relaxation is so important to me. Exactly. So you relax your eyes. The palms are around the eye orbits. We don't put any pressure. And we breathe deeply and we visualize that we're seeing darkness and maybe even blackness. And we breathe and we feel that the ribs and the hips and the lower back are expanding as we inhale and are shrinking as we exhale. So we breathe slowly and we breathe deeply. And the thing is to never put pressure on the cheekbones, never elevate the shoulders, never tense the neck, and visualize complete darkness, maybe even blackness, as we breathe deeply in and out. And we slowly take the hands off. If we had time, we'd do it longer, but we will have time in the workshop. We'll guide through nice palming. I will play also some videos that people can follow as we do it, because our camera doesn't go to the outside. So we'll do all kinds of things outside, like sunning. And I would want people to take their tablet, their phone, or their laptop with batteries outdoors and to do some exercise outdoors.
Beautiful. Let's talk about that. What is important about going outside in this process? I know you've named a number of details, but this is helping us see things
Well,
differently.
to begin with, we'll do some reading exercises, and we will send to everybody some material for them to copy. So, for example, when you have this page, okay, and there are different size print on it. So we send you to print on the legal page, this page, or two regular pages you put together. Well, it's going to be kind of hard to read number 8 indoors for most people. In fact, most people cannot even read number 7. And we want people to get rid of farsightedness and get rid of their readers, right? And so when you go to the sun and you do the sunning exercise, which is to close the eyes and to move the head all the way from side to side. So when you do that, the pupils constrict when you face the sun and expand when you move away from the sun. This is the exercise of sunning, which I found for me to be really blessing. It was one of the best exercises I've ever done. So when we do sunning, then the pupils start to get used to the outdoor light. The retina wakes up, the optic nerve wakes up. And before you know, people see much better. If somebody could only see number 2, they'll see number 3 and 4. And then as we work with specific exercise of blocking the strong eye, we just put a small piece of paper over the strong eye, wave our hand to the side, and read with the weaker eye. Then when we read with both eyes, the vision becomes sharper, and quite a few people jump 2 or 3 columns down as a result of doing it, which is the first step for them to get rid of the readers, So it's a big thing. It's what I call balanced use of the eyes. And that doesn't mean that the 2 eyes will be equally strong, but they'll be equally used. So they will create balance, and balance in the visual system is the way out of most problems of the visual system, because the strain of overusing one eye at the expense of the other eye is just a terrible strain. And so we want to get rid of that strain all we can, basically. So I'll give you the example right now.
Yes.
I'm taking masking tape. I'm rolling it. And I'm putting it over my strong eye. And now what I'm doing is I'm reading with my weaker eye. I'm waving my hand to the side while reading with my weaker eye. And then when I open both eyes, the letters becomes way clearer. But I can say anything I want to say until we really practice it. When we practice it, that's when people notice. The last seminar I had was with 75 people, which was wonderful. And basically, 68 of them saw better. So we're pretty good. Average there, which I hope to obtain with the seminar we're going to have now. What I will ask for people to prepare for the workshop is 2 tennis balls. And one of the reasons we need the tennis balls is that the principles of working on the body is to soften the connective tissue. The connective tissue with most people becomes very tight because we have more than 600 muscles in the body, and most people use only 50 out of them, basically. And so we overwork the 50 muscles that we have, basically. And so, for example, the exercise that I will demonstrate to you now, everybody can do at home, you know. And this is, you move your foot. Let me see, am I far enough for you to see my foot?
Yes, almost.
Almost, okay.
Foot is on the ball. Okay, there it is. Perfect.
Thank you. So as we move the leg back and forth, so there's like 6 areas to move with the foot, from toe to heel, heel to toe, middle toes to heel, heel to middle of toe, little toe to heel, heel to little, and then from side to side underneath the toes, side to side in the middle of the foot, and on the heel. And if you do that, and then you do a nice circular work here, and the same thing you do here, toe to heel, heel to toe, middle of the toes to heel, heel to middle of the toes, little toe to heel, heel to little toe, from side to side, underneath the toes, side to side, the middle of the foot, and on the heel. That can make a huge difference. You can sit down, work with the computer, and massage your foot. But then we're going to also do exercise of massaging the back with tennis balls. And I also would want people to prepare a broomstick, because we're going to lie on it. So there's a lot of things that we're going to do. Of course, it's choice. I'm not going to tell anyone what exactly they should do in their home, right? But it's the choice of a person. But so much can be done with people as we work on ourselves. And as I said, I'll do a lot of videos to prepare for the workshop, basically.
So simple, yet so functional. So
Yeah.
let's talk a little bit more about some of these. You named about 8 elements. And one is looking with a soft look. Can you explain more about this?
Well, you know, we learn, especially because we were locked out for a couple of years, we learn to look with strain at many things. In fact, the problem with the strain we have is that we don't feel we're straining, and we're straining. In fact, after doing a lot of palming, people will actually feel how much they strain. In my case, I had a terrible situation of nystagmus, involuntary movement of my eyes, and that led to a total impossibility of focusing on anything. If I look at you, my eyes would look to the left. I look to the left, my eyes would look at you. I could never focus on anything. You're seeing it in some famous people like Stevie Wonder, you know, the eyes are kind of wandering from side to side, you know. Well, mine was 300 times per minute, and mine now is between 0 to 12, okay? So my nystagmus was really quieted down by the palming exercise. That was a very important exercise for me. So in terms of the soft-looking eyes, everything you're going to look at you should look at in the most soft way that you can. So, for example, if you expand your periphery, which means I look at you on the screen, but I also wave my hands to the side, and so I sense my periphery, makes a very big difference. So I want to ask you if you can do me a favor, and then take yourself masking tape and a small piece of paper. Okay. So I'm taking masking tape, I'm rolling it. I'm putting it over my paper, and I'm putting it between my eyes. So you see, you roll it so it will stick to the paper and to the bridge of your nose. There you go. Perfect. Construction paper, right. And we will send model that we need from people to have four construction papers, basically large, medium, medium, small, large, and extra large. Like this, we have small paper, medium paper, large, and extra large to block our central vision and expand our periphery. So now you can wave your hands to the side, and you can wave it near your ears, right? Up and down. Then near the shoulders, up and down. Then near the elbows, up and down, and stretch up and down. I will put more light so I can be seen. Near the shoulders, up and down, elbow width, and to the side. Now close one eye and close the other eye, because to the side it's hard to see them unless you focus on them. And then you start to really pay attention more to your periphery. So again, near the ears, near the shoulders, near the elbows, and then total stretch. You close one eye, looking straight, you close the other eye. And what you're doing, you're looking at this paper. So now take the paper off. And you can see that there's more space in your eyes, that there's more periphery. Because for a moment, you rested from looking straight and you expanded the peripheral vision.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Nice, huh?
Amazing. Amazing. Mm-hmm. And again, I'll just say so simple. Very simple. All right. You also mentioned adapting to all light frequencies. So,
absolutely. Absolutely. All colors and all and all strength. So, for example, medicine tries to give us an amazing propaganda against the sun, but actually we need the sun. The sun is a very strong thing. It is energizing us. And so the exercises, as I've shown you, in a very balanced way, that you close your eyes, you move your head from side to side, makes a very big difference. I'm very much against sunglasses. For example, Aborigines were having dark skin for thousands of years, basically. And, doctors, out of real concern to them, were convincing them to wear sunglasses. And first time in their history, in two villages, they got skin burn. Because we have in the retina an area which is called the melanin area. That's the same melanin that darkens your skin, but it darkens the light. And the production of melanin depends both on the skin and on the retina. And the moment that you put the dark glasses on, it's a problem. So we have to adjust to the sun. And when you adjust to the sun, you see way better in the light. Okay, that's number one. Number two, we have to adjust to the dark. People for a couple million years, even long before the fire was invented, were able to expand their pupils enough and to wake up many, many retinal cells with which they would adjust to the dark of the night. We don't have a dark night. Where do you have a dark night? Not in San Francisco. Basically, you wake up and there's all kinds of lights. Part of it is for security, part of it is for industry, that we have a lot of light at night. 100 million birds die from clashing against tall buildings because we messed up all of their sense of flying in the dark, basically. So what we need, and that's what I do with my classes. We won't be able to cover that in this class because we don't have that possibility. But in my classes, I'd go with people for a night walk. And the most impressive one was once in Singapore, where I worked with 125 people in the dark forest. And at first it was so dark, and then it was so bright. And here in San Francisco, we all complain about the fact that even though we have night walks, actually the halo doesn't allow the night to be as dark as it should be. So we are deprived. And that's, in my opinion, the number one cause for glaucoma. There's a lot of pressure on the visual system. It is so natural for the eyes. If we look at night, normally we should sleep at night. But if we look at night, that we would see more general objects, because that's what the periphery sees. And then, there is dawn, and then there is sunrise, and then there is daylight, and the eye gets used to it. And it likes the sun. And then there is, sunset, and then twilight, and then we get used to the dark. What happens these days, as soon as you are getting anywhere close to sunset, everybody turns the light on. And so many people are in lit buildings without any connection to the outdoors. And it is really destructive to our retina. And I really believe that unless we go to Mother Nature, and I love your background again. I mean, I have it in the park when I walk there. So your background of trees and grass is so wonderful, because that's the background we should be in. I love the beach specifically, even though it's a cold beach in San Francisco. I love to walk there and run there. Many people were growing throughout the year, seeing me running bare feet and bathing in this ocean that everybody thinks is very cold, and I always enjoyed it. And I think that it is so important for us to be a part of nature and not to decide nature is not important. So again, if I follow the full 10 principle, it is soft eyes, deep relaxation of the eyes, looking at details, looking at the distance, because people get cataracts, not like me, and I was born with it, for chemical reasons, but people get cataracts because they don't look enough at a distance. So distance viewing is important. Everybody needs to look at distance 20 minutes a day while waving their hands to the side and paying attention to the periphery. And then when you look at the distance, the lens is flat, and the ciliary muscles don't constrict so much. We need to learn to look at details, smaller details than we tend to see, because the most important part of the retina is called the macula, and it's only 1.5% of the rest of the retina. And the fovea is 0.5%. The more we look at small details, the better we see. And then we want to expand our periphery. So we look at small details, but we don't ignore the periphery. And then we want to make sure we have balanced use between the two eyes, like we put a piece of paper and wave, but have many other ways, many other exercises that lead to balanced use of the two eyes. For example, we have obstructive lens that we put, let's see if I find it here. I used to put patches, but I put this obstructive lens, and I use my weaker eye more than my stronger eye. There's a limit to how much time you can do it, like 8 to 10 minutes at a time. Otherwise, it's too much of a stretch to the brain. But often when I walk, I use that lens and I look at details. It's one of the things we're going to play in the video. Okay. So the obstructive lens, okay, and then we have we are working on balance use within each eye. Again, that we will not be able to cover in the workshop, but I started by working with people like vision only in one eye, and we put a thin piece of paper and get them to throw a ball from side to side or wave their hands to the side and create nice three-dimensional vision with one eye. And so I've learned actually that each eye has parts that we don't use as much. So balance use within each eye, body and eye coordination, and that is a beautiful thing. I had one guy who had a stroke of his optic nerve because of elected surgery. Try to elect the least of them if you can. And he lost 85% of the visual field. And besides doing many eye exercises, I got him to bounce on the trampoline and look at arrows that point upward. He would land on his knees, downward, land on his bum, to the right, clap his hand, to the left, move his hands. And the result is he did body and eye coordination, and he was doing much better, improved his field of vision from 15% to 85%. He sent to me a lot of clients. He was from Rio de Janeiro. So you can see that I have very international clientele. The one that I saw yesterday came from Mexico for a double session because he had a stroke when there was COVID. He got COVID, a stroke, and he almost was completely blind. And so far we're able to get him like 25% vision, which was really very good. And I think we'll do much more. But he always comes to me, every 6 months he comes to me for 8 sessions, and he came for classes. So then we have the next principle of more blood to the visual system. And that comes by loosening up the neck. And we'll have so many wonderful exercises to loosen up the neck. That's where I start, neck loosening. So everything that we do will work. The eyes will comply much more with loosening of the neck. So I explained to you the 10 principles, and people can get my book, Vision for Life, and read those 10 principles, and they would really benefit from it a lot.
Again, I just want to say spectacular, Meir, really remarkable. And I actually see the day where this is mainstream. It's already mainstream, but it is going to be accepted in the medical field as a requirement, as vision health. Really wonderful. All right, before I ask you to explain more of the workshop, what is it about a trampoline that is so beneficial in this instance?
So the trampoline must be soft. Many people have hard trampoline, which is bad for their body. And the idea of the trampoline, I mean, not everybody likes to go there. That's fine with me. But the idea of that trampoline is the softness of it, is the give it has. So some people who are not in shape to bounce on a trampoline, we walk with them. There's one guy that I allow to do somersaults on my trampoline because he worked for the Mexican circus, and he does several flips on the trampoline. That's nice, but we don't allow people to basically do it to not create injuries. But the ability to let the trampoline bounce you up becomes a very important thing because we hold ourselves so much. For example, one of the things I like to suggest to all the people who are at home, close your eyes and visualize that the chair holds your weight. Like your weight falls on the chair and the chair pushes your weight up. And that's how you should feel when you lie on the floor. That's how you should feel when you go to bed. Like you're being carried rather than you hold yourself. So the big exercise of the trampoline is to learn not to hold. And people don't get much benefit from the trampoline if they try hard to bounce and get back. So that's the work I'm doing with the trampoline, which is so useful, right? And again, one of the biggest problem we have is that because of the poor use of the body, our connective tissue hardens. I mean, so many muscles we never ever use. Our toe muscles. People with arm disability sometimes use their toes. They can play guitar, paint, all kinds of things. They can feed themselves with their toes. We don't have any access to our toes. We don't know how to move them individually. But then if you don't move your toes, the next thing that's going to happen is you're going to have stiff ankle, and then stiff knee, and then stiff hip joint, and then stiff back, and then stiff neck. So when somebody just go to the chiropractor to adjust their neck, they're missing the whole point. They have to work on the whole body. So the body will be in a place where some muscles are not too weak, so others have to tighten to compensate for the weakness. And you know, whenever I ask for people to do this exercise, again, let me know if you can see me doing it a lot, because I'm very small on my own screen. That's why I need your help here. If, for example, I lift my leg up, okay? When I ask from people to keep the leg up for more than a minute, ooh, you wouldn't believe for the pain and misery that people have just for lifting their own leg. Not lifting weights, not jumping rope, just lifting the legs. And by the way, everybody should stand up from the chair right now because we were sitting too long and stretch the leg backwards, push the chest forwards and let the neck fall. Don't wrench your neck, but you're looking at the ceiling while the neck, yeah, and then you do the same thing on the other side. All right, so it becomes an interesting thing for us because you see what happens is, in fact, sitting is one of the biggest efforts for the back. We think, I'm happy you're sitting on a ball because that's better. But in my classes, we often sit on the floor. But sitting is a very hard thing for the back. Lying is easy and walking is easy. But sitting is hard. And also using less of our muscles. Most people's shin muscles, tibialis anterior, is very weak. And the calf muscles are overly strong compared to the shin. And we need to learn to develop more of our muscles that we never use. And then we have more of our tissue that works for us, basically. So in the workshop, one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to learn, some people who are paralyzed who come to me have a problem with me because I always show them how less paralyzed they are than what they think. People who are able have a problem with me because I show them how paralyzed they are. So they will learn the limit of their movement and how we can extend that movement. And again, the principles here is to discover the muscles you never used and to have it as practice to wake them up, to create integration between the muscles that they never use to the muscles that they always use. And it cannot be done without loosening up the body. That's why we lie on tennis balls, on broomstick, do all kinds of stretches to loosen ourselves up. We also have to understand something very, very important, that we don't need to work only on overcoming symptoms, but on body's strength, right? So, for example, in the last 2 years that people were isolated, less people got the flu. Okay, wonderful. Less people got the flu, less people got the common cold. Fantastic. Also, more people had a weakened immune system. That's not so fantastic. So basically, there is a place for the viruses to hit us and to overcome them. Everybody was thinking about all the vulnerable people, did not think about the people who can become vulnerable by not exercising their immune system. And so we're going to do special exercises by contracting our sphincters and letting go of them that basically mimic our stress, let that stress fall, so then the immune system starts to work much better. So we're going to work definitely on strengthening the immune system. So creating balance in the body becomes really the most important thing that I'm going to teach in this seminar.
Amazing. We are really looking forward to this. This seminar is 2 days online. Literally, it is for everyone. It is for those who are challenged with eyesight. It is for those who wear glasses. It is for those who don't wear glasses. It is even for athletes, I would say. It is for
Absolutely.
the whole world. I wanted to just mention that Roger Federer, he just resigned from tennis, one of the best tennis players in the world. He has really good peripheral vision, and that's what makes him a good tennis player. And I also wanted to say with the breathing, I don't know if you've ever had the opportunity to scuba dive, but breathing in a scuba dive outfit really makes us conscious, and it makes us aware of every single breath, and we breathe slower. So I just wanted to share those 2 points and see what your comments are.
It's interesting. First of all, it makes sense that if somebody is a good tennis player, you pay attention to the periphery, because otherwise if you look strenuously, directly, your eyes become hard. Soft eyes are eyes that also pay attention to the periphery. Also, it's true about martial arts. I believe I do not like to scuba dive due to my eyes. I don't want pressure on my eyes. But I think exactly that I understand what you're talking about. The other thing is, but it's me, it's not the other people. I am very much for scuba diving, just one of the things I'm careful of. What I would like to report to you is that I had once a training course with one person with muscular dystrophy, progressive muscular dystrophy. It's called the Baker kind, second worst muscular dystrophy there is. His wife used to carry him on her back like a sack of potatoes, right? And he could not walk himself to the bathroom. She had to get him there. When we finished, she was able to cross the room with her help and then go to the bathroom, which gave him more dignity, okay? Another guy was Will, who is one of my best practitioners in the world, and he's practicing my work. Well, Will was a boxer and a boxing instructor and very fit. I could not believe that once he told me that he ran for 8 miles in 18 minutes. I just couldn't believe it. It's real distance for me to do it in that short. I think I could do it with a bicycle. But anyway, he was good. And both of them benefited from the very same class. Will became more relaxed, more himself, and not so tense. And he has an eye challenge called retinitis pigmentosa. And Janusz was the name of the guy with the muscular dystrophy, became stronger. So when we would go with Will to the beach, we had a certain distance. He just made that distance 5 or 6 times back and forth, while all of us were doing that distance. And Janusz would only look at the beach. Everybody had their ability. But both athletes and people with paralysis can benefit from the principles of using more of the muscles, letting go of the muscles they always use, creating neurological connection. You know how many people in my age lose their balance? It's unbelievable. And that is because they never work on expansion of their nervous system activity in the muscles. And we have to start and get that balance back. So those are the things. So what we're going to work is on a lot of practicality, and a lot of exercise. Like many people have a lot of concepts. We're going to practice them.
Beautiful. Yes, 2 days from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time. Is there a break in the noon hour?
Yeah, 1 hour for lunch, yeah.
Okay, 1 hour for lunch or a
People
break.
have to eat.
This is an international audience as well. And so it's a very good experiential. This is 10 hours with you, Meir. This is really incredible that we're able to do it with this technology. I know I'm excited to be there. I know others are excited to be there. I want to mention that this is available on a 2 payment plan so that we make it easy for those to join in and experience this as well. It's vital. This is vision health, but so much more because the principles are affecting everything in our life. It really is wonderful that you've created this. Is there anything else you'd like to share about the online workshop opportunity?
Well, I've heard of quite a few people that had classes with me online. Some of them were so good, we have them for sale, basically. Had classes with me online that ended up seeing better. I know of one person who went to his optometrist, and his optometrist was so amazed that he got rid of half of his prescription. And he's keeping the glasses more in the pocket and uses them for things he needs. So I think there's a lot that we can do together. You have to have the high spirit and to decide that's a day when I'm working on myself. So it's not just you have a course online, you have a course for you. And I'm always with the people. Any question I always answer. No question is above me or below me, so we can definitely work with it. And I found that questions stimulate, depends which questions, yeah. But some of them can stimulate the rest of the people for more thoughts. So I'm looking forward to see all of you, and hopefully you're recording the course, right?
Yes, it will be recorded.
So those people who take it, let's say, in other countries, and it's night in their place, can then, do it with us at night, and then a day or two later, look at the recording and do it in the daytime.
Yes, go outside and practice those tools in the daylight. Wonderful. Thank you. Wow. Again, thank you for being the pioneer in your own life. This is your journey, and the way that you're helping so many other people is wonderful. And do you see that world in the future where optometrists will just wonder what it is and then also embrace these tools themselves?
You know what's interesting? I gave a lecture to a group of optometrists in Sydney. One good optometrist that really liked me and my work was able to put it on continuing education for them. So we did
Awesome.
in the formal thing that I never liked to do, like in a hotel, and then we went out and all that. One optometrist told me that's an eye opener. And we have quite a few optometrists who studied with me. What I found out, doctors who know me respect me.
Yes.
So it's a question of becoming more known. But I want to say it, everyone who will come to the workshop, improve his or her vision, can affect others. And just like acupuncture, it didn't come from the medical profession to approve acupuncture. It came from the clients. Just like chiropractic, that came from truck drivers who wanted to receive chiropractic. This is even more important because the eye diseases that people predict in the future, and especially me, are much worse than ever before. We need acknowledgement, and the clients will bring it to their doctors.
Yes, our experiences of it to the doctors will change the world. It already is. Thank you,
Yeah.
Meir Schneider, for this beautiful introduction course. We invite everyone watching and listening to invest in your body, invest in your eyesight, invest in your soul here. It's beautiful and it will be recorded. And we are looking forward to doing this work together with everyone. Meir, as we say goodbye, I want to give you a moment for any final thoughts.
Well, the most important thing is for you to have a space for yourself, whether you live in family or on your own. And in that space, it's interesting. I'm finding sometimes that being in a certain room makes me feel more open. In that space, allow yourself to breathe slowly in and slowly out. If your challenge is vision, allow yourself to put your hands in the most gentle and the most nurturing way to your eyes, to put them around the eye orbits. To breathe deeply, feel expansion within you, and allow yourself a moment like this. Can make a big difference.
And what a difference you are making in the lives of so many. Thank you, thank you, thank you, Meir Schneider. Again, the link for this event is right here on this webpage or in the description box of wherever you're watching or listening to this interview and this course. Thank you, Meir. Namaste.
Thank you. Bye-bye.